As you see here, this is Al-Rukn al-Yamani. People are kissing and hugging the Kaaba. It's like the black stone. We said this is false and wrong. Just imagine the crowd around the Kaaba. Everybody have to be merciful with others, or otherwise we would lose the reward of performing Hajj.
Well, thank you, Sheikh, for that explanation. It certainly helps to see some of these examples with so much information to digest. There are a few other issues that I wanted to bring up just for clarification. You mentioned a couple times that it was permissible or possible to make tawaf from the upper levels of the masjid. Is there any difference in reward or validity based on whether you're making tawaf on the ground or on the second or third level?
One should try their utmost to be as close as they could to the Kaaba. If it is not possible, especially for women or men who have women with them, they should keep behind as much as they can, because the issue is to comply with the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is not to compete to hurt others, just to touch the Kaaba or the black stone. So if you get to do tawaf in the second floor or even on the roof, inshallah it is accepted, especially if it is very crowded, such as in Hajj, as we have just seen.
Now there's another interesting issue that comes up in a tawaf. Some people are performing Hajj on behalf of another, and they're conducting the rites of Hajj on behalf of another. But as you mentioned, after a tawaf, there's 2 units of prayer that are performed, and normally you cannot perform prayer on behalf of another person. What happens in this situation when someone is doing it on behalf of another, but they're praying now? Does it count for the other person? Do they leave this off? How is this dealt with?
This is actually a very intelligent question. We understand that it is not permissible to pray on behalf of others. You may perform Hajj or Umrah on behalf of others. You may give a charity on behalf of others. But to pray on behalf of somebody else, even if it is the dearest one to you and the closest, it is not permissible. Prayer is only on behalf of yourself, except in this condition, so that if you happen to be performing Hajj or Umrah on behalf of somebody else, once you're done with your tawaf, you're offering the 2 rak'ahs of Sunnatul Tawaf, and that counts for the person whom you're performing Hajj or Umrah on his or her behalf. Similarly, if you have your young kids with you and they are not aware of the prayer, you may pray in this condition on their behalf, rak'atay Sunnatul Tawaf.
Well, Sheikh, you mentioned the different kinds of tawaf and some of the distinctions between the arrival tawaf and what would happen later on. But what exactly are the names of these different kinds of tawaf? And are there any other differences?
There are actually 4 different types of tawaf, and we will learn the differences between all of them. The first tawaf is known as Tawaf al-Qudum, or the arrival tawaf. If a person is coming to perform Umrah and Hajj together in the same time during the months of Hajj, then Tawaf al-Qudum, or the arrival tawaf, becomes a rukn in his right, that they must, and there is no way that they can skip this kind of tawaf. And of course in this tawaf they would uncover the right shoulder in the first 7 rounds, and they would jog or walk briskly in the first 3 rounds. That's known as Tawafu al-Qudum, whether a person is coming with the intention of performing Hajj al-Qiran or Hajj al-Tamattu'. The second type of al-Tawaf is Tawaf al-Ifada. Tawaf al-Ifada is whenever people finish with the day of Arafah, on the 10th day, which is the following day to Arafah, people would come to Mecca, yufidu min Mina. They would come back from Mina to perform Tawaf al-Ifada. That's why it was called al-Ifada. This is the pillar of the Hajj, one of the pillars of the Hajj. So it is rukn, that each pilgrim must do it by themselves, even weak and sick ones. No one can do it on behalf of others, similar to the very first kind of tawaf. So its beginning is the 10th day. Well, its end, the ulama said that a person may do it during any day of the following days the Eid days, Ayam al-Tashriq, even to the end of the year, some scholars said it's open even if it is next year. The main thing is we don't want people to panic. Once they are done with throwing the stones, they think that I have to perform Tawaf al-Ifadah today or my Hajj is invalid or incomplete. No. It begins on the 10th day. The third type of Tawaf is Tawaf al-Wada', and it is Tawafun Wajib. This is in the right of every person who came to perform Hajj, whether Ifrad, Qiran, or Tamattu'. Once the person is done completely with all the rites of Hajj and he's fixing to leave, right before leaving, prior to departure, it is a must that every Hajj, male or a female, perform Tawaf, which is known as the farewell Tawaf. And it should be the last activity right before departure. When I say wajib, is different than rukn, because in case of rukn, that it is not redeemable. In case of Tawaf al-Wada', it is redeemable and fixable. Some people, they cannot do Tawaf al-Wada', such as women during their menses. Safiya, the mother of the believers, may Allah be pleased with her, she was with the Prophet ﷺ in his farewell Hajj. And when they were fixing to leave, she informed the Prophet ﷺ that her period have started. So the Prophet ﷺ said that, "Ahabisatuna, she's going to withhold us here." When he was informed, "Ya Rasulullah, she already did Tawaf al-Ifadah," he said, "Well, then let us go." That indicates for women during their menses, they don't have to offer Tawaf al-Wada'. That also indicates Tawaf al-Wada' is not one of the pillars of the Hajj. Rather, it's only mandatory for those who can afford it, which is basically every person except women during their menses.
So we have Tawaf al-Qudum on arrival, Tawaf al-Ifrad on starting at least on the 10th day.
Tawaf al-Ifadah.
Ifadah.
No.
Okay, Tawaf al-Ifadah, Tawaf al-Wada'.
Tawaf al-Wada'. And the fourth type is Tawaf al-Tatawwa, like the voluntary Salah. You may pray any time, except in specific 3 times which are disliked to offer the prayer during, such as after Fajr till sunrise, and after Asr till sunset, and 20 minutes approximately before Dhuhr until it is Dhuhr time, or until the sun moves away from its meridian. In the case of Tawaf, the Prophet ﷺ said, do not prevent any person who is interested to make Tawaf from making Tawaf anytime, day or night. Anytime throughout the year, a person may perform this Tawaf. It's some form of prayer, similar to the Salah. It just requires wudu with the intention of making ibadah.
Well, as you can see, Sheikh, I'm getting a little confused by the terms, but you've made it very clear, and I think I feel much more at ease with the situation. I'm sure our viewers feel the same way. I think we've covered this issue of Tawaf very comprehensively. And so in our next episode, inshallah, we'll move on to the next step of Hajj. Please stay with us then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.